Through the Mayhem, the Silently podcast series, bringing marketing industry leaders together to discuss the ever-shifting media landscape. Learn about the ins and outs of real-time marketing, influencers, data privacy, technology, and so much more. All from industry experts with real experience, giving you the real answers. Now, let's break through the mayhem.
Welcome back to Breaking Through the Mayhem. We have a friend of mine that I know for, almost a decade now?
Almost.
Mr. Ziggy, how are you?
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Couldn't be happier to see all your success and see you rise up the ranks.
My success. This
right?
guy.
And now we're
this guy, the CEO.
What's
like...
that? Now we're sitting here together talking.
Yeah.
I think it's just super cool.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Ziggy.
Yeah, no, I'm the SVP at Mediahub. Been there for almost 6 years. Love it. You know, I went there because it was a challenger mentality, and it continues to be so. It's a very startup-esque type of vibe. You go in there and, you know, you challenge all the media buys. You have great clients to work with. You have a great team. And I continue to love it there. So, yeah.
I love that. I mean, 6 years, you've obviously went through a lot of different iterations there.
Well, 6 years in agency years, right? It's like dog years. It's like 18 years right there.
I was thinking like 250.
Something like that.
Dog years. I was thinking like 40 years at a time.
Yeah.
But for you, I mean, you work on a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So knowing that you work on a slew of different clients and in a very diverse mindset across those, what kind of keeps you grounded in the way that you think every day?
Yeah. I mean, I think that keeps me charged. The fact that, you know, you got to put your liquor hat on, then you got to put your finance hat on, you know, and then there's, you know, subscription based, and there's just so much happening on a day to day, and I love it. But here's the thing though, the fact that I have that visibility and purview into the different verticals, I'm able to take, copy and paste, put it into this vertical, copy and paste, put it into that, you know, so it's you sort of introduce a paradigm shift. Now, my emails, it's like off the chain, as I'm sure everybody else who's watching this is very similar. But I do like that there's multiple verticals. It's makes you a little bit more versatile, keeps you on your toes, and keeps me there because obviously, you know, 6 years is a lot.
How do you stay organized then with all that?
I don't have a good answer for that. I do think that my to-dos though, like my notes, they are organized. Like, what do I have to do for the week? What do I have to do for the day? What is so-and-so doing for the day or for the week? And keeping status sheets on point. Like, that's helped me for sure. But inbox, if anybody has some tips out there for inbox, I'm not your guy. Please tell me.
I get it.
Know.
Do you find yourself traveling a lot with this many clients, or it's not as frequent as you would have thought?
Not really. I do feel that maybe like pre-COVID, probably a lot more. That said, I have offered a lot more FaceTime to my clients. Like I just went to Jägermeister a week or two ago.
Where are they located?
They're in White Plains. So I drove out there.
Oh, so that's easy.
Yeah, I drove from Jersey Shore to White Plains.
You're such a soldier.
It was a 2-hour ride. It was a little crazy, but no, I loved it. The fact that you have FaceTime, you get to talk with them, and you know, it's not like your virtual Zoom meeting and then you talk about whatever you're there for and then that's it. Bye. It's, you know, you get hallway conversations. So I love that. But no, I don't get to travel as much as I think. No, let me not say I would want to, but as much as you would think, for sure.
It's interesting. Knowing how big of an innovator you've always been, how are you finding yourself in today's new era? Obviously, you got the AI, whatever everyone's talking about, but there's so many things going on. How are you teaching yourself today?
I think AI, like tapping into AI for sure.
So you're teaching yourself with AI.
Yeah. Look, let me get my AI to speak with your AI, and then we'll come up with a game plan. Maybe they should do the podcast. But no, I think tapping into AI, trying to figure out how certain personas think about the brand has been very helpful to me. So Navy Federal Credit Union, longstanding partner of ours, love them to death. I love the client. I love their media. I love their whole ethos, our members of the mission, and what they represent for the military and active duty and families of veteran and active duty. And so what we've done is we've created certain personas with AI and say, think like a veteran. You know, you're active duty, or rather, you're in the Air Force, you're a veteran. Think like this. Here are all the crosstabs analysis that we've done think like that persona, and let's call you James, for instance, whatever, Jimmy, whatever it is. And then I'll ask it questions and try to figure out like what really makes that veteran, like
Tick, move,
exactly.
thought.
Yeah. So that's been very helpful to me from a persona audience standpoint. But just in general, I mean, learning in the industry, a lot of Magna reports. There are some great reports out there.
I find the Magna stuff to be a 10.
Super
10.
interesting. Yeah, I think there was a study, it was a year or two ago. They used eye tracking technology, and it was done in cinemas, in movie theaters. And it showed that a cinema ad captures your attention 3 times longer than a connected TV ad. So I'm like, well, if you're trying to get attention on, an ad, why isn't cinema on your buy? Now I'm not advocating for everybody to have cinema in their media plans, but those type of studies are amazing for when you're planning, when you're thinking about your client, what their goals are, what you're trying to achieve, and then what are the tools that you have in place as a media buyer, media planner, media buyer to then, be able to fulfill those goals for clients.
In terms of like, also I know you as being somebody who likes to educate people as well, also learn yourself. Who do you find mentoring you nowadays?
Wow. Now soon to be after this podcast, Adam. How do you become the CEO? No, I think teaching's another form of learning, right? So it's very helpful when especially if you get to speak in front of a camera, you're like, all right, guys, we're here to talk about media plan. And this, like you are essentially learning as you start talking through, you start, explaining what it is that you do.
Because to coach somebody else, you have to know it yourself.
100%. Yeah. And especially when they start asking you great questions, you're like, that's a great question. Let's answer it together. Let's workshop it. I don't know if I have necessarily a specific mentor, but I do have specific people that I attribute my growth in the industry. Certain people on the sales side, certain people on the planning side. And it's just, I take little bits of here and there and, I put in my back pocket and I carry on. So.
And what would you say has been a piece of advice that people would be surprised that you were taking?
We were just talking about this, right? Like, we went to the U.S. Open, almost a decade ago with Ralph, the principal investor, right? And his whole desensitize yourself to no, to the word no, has definitely been impactful in my life. Like, don't take no for an answer, but desensitizing yourself to it. So the more you hear no, the closer you get to yes. I sort of like, if you want to run a parallel to that, it's like when you go and you're an actor and you're auditioning, you audition 100 times. You hear, 99 no's. So how come in sales or how come in media, like we don't do that?
I think you're alluding to something pretty powerful, which is resilience.
Yes.
Right. And bouncing back.
Yes.
And I think, obviously knowing you, like we've discussed, you've been around different things and done a lot of different things. How do you think being a father has impacted you at work?
Ooh. Oh, man, I love my little ones so much.
I know. That's why I wanted to give you a chance to talk about it.
I think it's like, I think integrity as a whole is something that you think about when you have kids, like you try to steer them down the right path and you instill the principles within them that are unchanging throughout time. And as you do that, teaching is another form of learning, right? So like, as you're telling them to do X, Y, Z,
you're like, I better do it myself now.
100%, and it's kind of like that reminder, even if you've always done that, it's sort of like that reminder that it continues to build your cement your foundation within principles. Like, if anything, like think of like the quicksand approach where you're standing your foundation, but it's that's not dry cement, right? It's a little wet. And so you're continuing to build out foundation, you on top of that foundation with integrity for sure. So.
I love that. What are you excited about learning more about in the future of marketing, knowing you've been doing this for a long time? And I know you have some principles that you love to think about, but what excites you about the future?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about my hot take. My hot take being that, I think marketing, advertising overall, I think the effectiveness of it just comes down to as simple as frequency, frequency over frequency over frequency. Doesn't matter if it's a good creative, bad creative, good message, bad message. One of the 48 laws of power is what? Court attention at all costs, right? And so the more attention you get on something, the more people talk about it, whether it's good or bad, but frequency over frequency, that's what's going to get your message across. And then you could always revamp it and be like, hey, I've rebrand myself, but now you got everybody's attention, right? So that should sort of like be especially for non-mature brands, I think that should be like the number one principle.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's the other thing that I've been seeing so much about, I wanted to get your opinion on, is this concept of brand governance.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically with Gen AI creative and how much is out there today.
Yeah.
How do you think brands are going to be able to protect their message into the future with AI and then also show up in the places that they actually want?
I don't know about the protection of message. I feel like no one's really safe in that category, in that field. I took a static picture the other day, and I put it into Adobe Firefly, and I said, make this person walk through. It was like a fish market, and sure enough, the person started walking through, and then the camera starts zooming in, and then it messes up the face, and I'm like, no. Don't touch the face. If anything, I want this person to not look at the camera and I want them to walk through. Did it again, and so like, I don't know whose picture that was. Like that's not protected. That could have been a message. I feel like it's the wild, wild west on that front. But I'm also not a specialist in that area. I'm a user of the tools out there.
I know you use it everything.
I am.
You're one of those people. Like
I'm experimenting.
This guy's got a laundry list of recurring charges on his credit card with every single one of them. If you want to get somebody
100%.
trying something first, it's Ziggy.
100%. Yeah, I for fun, I was talking to a colleague of mine, and he said we were talking about voiceovers, AI voiceovers. And he said, they sound soulless, And I was like, all right, we'll see. You've done a podcast, right? To so-and-so. So, yeah. I grabbed that podcast, downloaded it, took the script, the transcript, uploaded, duplicated, cloned his voice, sent it to him. I said, does this sound soulless?
Wow.
It was insane. He couldn't believe it. He thought that he had even said it.
This guy's using AI to jab at people now. You better be careful. I'm worried about what's next. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch this.
Can we get a transcript of this?
I'm worried about this. Well, listen. It's been a lot of fun. A couple of things that I just wanted to kind of think about here at the end.
Yeah.
It's been interesting talking to you, obviously, about all these different clients that you work on.
Yes.
Different things, frequency, understanding, and the way you go. Where do you think you'll be in a few years? What's your prediction about yourself in the industry?
I think probably CEO of Sightly.
I'll trade with you. If I can come work with your team, I'm down any day. Mediahub's got a great team.
Let's do it.
I'm in.
I'm not sure what the future holds for me, but I do think that I'm very passionate about the industry. You reference like what are the things that I'm looking at in the industry throughout. I think more and more with things being fragmented, trying to find more closed loop solutions, closed loop measurement solutions, and activating on that intelligence is something that I'm pretty passionate about. There's a huge gap in the industry on that right now, but may not be in the next 5 to 10 years.
Things are moving.
Yeah, so if anything, I would like to be at that forefront in terms of trying to find out some effectiveness studies with closed loop measurement that we could then implement. And specifically to the Mediahub clients, who are challenger brands.
I'll close with this. If you had any advice to people that sell to you, what would you want them to treat you like to get Ziggy to care?
Care about our clients. Learn about our clients. Ask questions. We essentially are giving you the information that you need to sell us into something that we would buy for our clients, right? Like, we are in this business for our clients. explain to everybody who's like, well, you know, your division or your department, what is it? I always say we're the client before the client. We have to sort of, you know,
you're not only the truth, but you're also protecting them, and you're also trying to
100%.
present to them what you believe in.
Exactly. So if you learn about our clients, you learn about what's important to them, their business goals, and how you can activate on those business goals with your media platform or media features, capabilities, whatever. So then I think we are all ears. But if you're just coming out here and pitching out something that's, you know, just technologically savvy, but doesn't really align with how we could impact our clients' business goals, then I don't, you know,
I get it.
It's kind of a moot point. You know, it's like great that you have that, but then how can we leverage that to impact our client's business?
I love that.
So,
Well, thank you so much for joining us
Adam,
today.
I
This was
appreciate
awesome.
it. Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon, my man.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Hey, I'm Chris, one of the producers for Sightly's Breaking Through the Mayhem podcast. We want to thank you so much for subscribing to the show. If you'd like to learn more about the guests we had on today, we included additional information about them in the show notes. Finally, if you'd like to be on the podcast, or if you know someone who'd make a great fit, you can fill out the form at sightly.com/podcast. Catch you on the next episode.